Well, hi, Shelby.
How you doing today?
Oh, pretty good. It's a beautiful
Good.
fall day.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back to Miss
Welcome.
Willow's Book Club podcast.
Yay! I love it.
Yeah.
What did we do today?
We had our October book club meetup as our second book club meetup today. And we had, 9 girls?
No, we had 12.
12 girls?
There's 12 of us.
There's a lot of us. It was a blast.
It was so
oh my gosh.
fun.
That was so
Literally
fun.
so
So many fun theories that now we're going to share again with you guys here because everybody was amazing and so creative. But oh my gosh, it was such a blast. We went to Milk and Honey, which is a coffee shop in downtown Denver, and so cute with all the plants and the moody vibe, and the coffees were delicious, and the company was amazing.
Yeah.
Literally couldn't have asked for anything better.
I know.
This
We
beautiful
took up
Sunday.
like half of the coffee shop. I
were.
know. I wasn't expecting everybody to show up. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Everybody showed up. That was so fun. We like tripled in size from our last book club.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was so fun.
It was good. We're excited, and
Yes.
we've got more fun things coming for the next months too. So make sure to check out our episode talking about what's upcoming on the podcast if you want to
Yes.
hear more about our plans over the next couple months.
So fun. I love it. Well, what are we drinking today?
Well, let's start with what did we read? What are we talking about for today?
You're right. We are talking about One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig.
Yes.
I feel like I had to sing it because I felt like I sung my way through this book.
Yes, it was very poetic.
Yes, it was.
We're reading One Dark Window, which I think was another winner for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so this
yeah.
this drink, this pink and bubbly drink, we're saying is kind of inspired, let's say, by the Maiden card. Because it feels like something that somebody under the influence of the Maiden card would drink.
I like it.
Bubbly and cute.
Bubbly and sweet and pretty.
Yep.
Yes.
And delicious.
I know. Delicious. Vintage 1993.
Yep. This is more, I think we've already talked about these probably on the podcast before. It's more of those sparkling ices and vodka.
Oh, we love it.
Yep.
We love it. Hey, sponsor us.
You're right. Really, though.
Oh, for real. Oh, my gosh. Well, Jenna, spoiler free, what did you rate this book?
I rated this book 5 stars.
Me
Easy.
too.
Easy 5 stars. Oh my gosh, I loved One Dark Window. This was so good. It was the perfect October read.
It really
It
was.
was a fast and fun read. No complaints.
Yeah, me too. I was so encapsulated by the magic. I loved it so much, and I thought it was really fun to go back and forth because I had it tabbed where they went through what each of the magic cards do, and so I kept flipping back and forth every time they would talk about it. I loved it. I thought it was just so cool.
Yeah, the magic was really cool. I loved the characters. I loved our main character Elspeth.
I did too.
Loved the love interest.
Oh, yes.
I mean, it was really cool. It was a
fun.
really interesting book. It was such a different type of magic than I think we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was a big fan. I thought the pacing was really good too.
Oh yeah, I liked it. I know. Oh, fun. Well, it's time for spoilers.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that I have what else we have spoiler
know,
free.
me
You got
too.
lots of thoughts.
Me too. All right, so spoilers starting now. If you haven't read this, definitely read it. It's 5-star read for both of us, and then come back and listen to the rest of the episode here. Oh my gosh. So what was your favorite part of this book?
Oh. Oh gosh, I don't know that I had been prepared with one favorite part. I really liked how the ending went down. The last 5 pages I thought was wild, and I love that. I also loved the part where Raven is shushing Elspeth when they're hiding, and his fingers on her lips, and they're both wait, what? Excuse me, what?
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
So
sir?
I loved that was a very small moment, but I really loved that moment too. But I genuinely think the last 5 pages was probably my favorite. It was so good.
The last 5 pages, and we kind of talked about this at book club, I was not ready for it because the book wasn't necessarily gory or violent or anything, but those last 5 pages I was oh my god, it was a lot, and I didn't know if I was super prepared for it, and so it kind of felt like you've got this really great story and things are building up, and then it's bam. So,
yeah, see, and it's funny because there were other people that thought that too.
Yeah.
They thought that accelerated so much faster, but I think for me, because the whole time you see the nightmare taking over a little bit more and a little bit more, and it's you can see the build coming, and it's gonna happen. like it's inevitable, right? And so for me, when that moment hit, I was like, oh, it was like the gratification of like, I knew this was coming and now it's all finally hitting all at the same time. And so I thought that was really fun.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That's
Hitting
so
the mic.
fun. I know. We always got to do something.
Yeah. So what about you? What was your favorite part?
Oh my gosh. I think my favorite part was where they were like not drugged, but like they were given the truth serum.
Oh yeah.
I thought that was so interesting, and I felt like I was just so captivated by it, and I was just like, I could not stop. I was like reading.
Well, and the questions they asked were like so interesting to see what they wanted to ask each other too. I can't believe that that's like a regular game that they play with each other.
Yeah. As soon as I said that it was like a regular game, I was like, why would you play this with each other?
Yeah,
you guys are clearly like hiding things.
It's like truth or dare, but with drugs.
Yeah. Just give your friends a truth serum.
Yeah. Okay, but did you think that was really obvious that they were going to get like drugged with the chalice card there?
No,
really?
Until she said, and I think I even have it tabbed, until she said the wine tasted
weird.
Mm-hmm.
That was why when the way they sat down, I want to see how they said it, because the way that they sat down and at the table to drink it, I was like, that is so obvious. I thought it was so obvious.
There we go. So I drank from my cup and winced, the wine more bitter than expected. No one spoke. I shot Jesper a glance and she shrugged, eyes wide. I turned to Elm, counting on him to say something, anything, to break the unbearable quiet.
Oh, I was looking way too late in the book. Yeah, that must have been earlier. Yeah, I thought it was so obvious when they sat down and there was wine there and they're like, let's all drink, let's all toast. I was like,
did you really? That was like the first thing you thought? Oh,
yeah, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, Hoth is sketchy as fuck. Like, he's going to be trying to do something here.
I know.
I did
just typical Shelby, though, like, doesn't see it until it's actually happening.
Yeah, Hoth is a douche.
Yeah, he was a douche the entire time.
It was so satisfying to see his hand get stomped on by Raven in the training scene when they're like fighting each other and whatever. And Hoth really didn't want to. You could tell he really didn't want to. Oh, that was so funny.
I loved it too because when like the reason that Raven even did it. Excuse me. The reason that Raven even did it was because Hoth was noticing that Elspeth, her hand was like kind of fucked up from when they were in the woods. Right. And she like attacked him.
And he broke her wrist.
And so Raven basically did the same to him.
Yes.
And I was like,
oh, it was so satisfying.
We're not pretending anymore.
Oh my God. Okay, that's the other thing. I don't know, usually mixed on fake dating as a trope. It's not always my favorite one. But this basically fake dating, fake courting, like, and all the times they're like, does this feel like pretend? I'm like,
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't feel like pretend.
I fucking loved it. And like from the very beginning, when Raven takes Elspeth to go and meet his family, like, I don't know, in their secret little room, and they're like kind of discussing what they want to do with her, and they all are kind of like, oh well, you could pretend to court her to bring her home. He's like, no. And everybody's like, ooh,
you like her. Kissing.
Yeah. So that was so cute, too, because I thought it was, I mean, I'm sure we're supposed to know he's a love interest pretty early, but it was like pretty clear that even before all this was going down, he was kind of into her. Yeah. And so it was so cute.
I know. And then to learn at the end that he was like, no, I didn't want it to happen because I actually really liked you.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't want it to have to be pretend.
I know. Oh my gosh. That's so fun.
So cute.
It's so cute. I loved them together too. It gave me just such like good like bantery vibes.
Yes.
I loved it.
Oh, it was so cute. And I loved Elspeth's relationship with Jesper.
Yes.
His sister, the only female testier. So cool.
Yeah. And she was such a badass.
She was a badass. And I loved that she got along with Elspeth like kind of right from the beginning. Yes. Like they bonded right away. And especially since Elspeth's relationship with her own family, it was like so odd, right? Like she's close with her aunt, but not really with everybody else, right? Like her dad is absent, I guess. We'll say like I don't think maybe intentionally super mean, but just absent. And then the stepmom and the stepsisters were like Cinderella vibes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And
the twin sisters.
Yeah. And so after having all of that, to have the, found family of like falling into somebody else's family, I thought was so sweet.
I loved it. I also thought it was so sweet because she fit right in. And like they didn't even like bat an eye after they were like, okay, we trust her. That was one thing we talked about at book club today about how easy they trusted her.
And I argued that it wasn't really that it was so easy because they tried to use the card on her. What, the scythe card? Is that the one that
I think it was the scythe card.
Like makes people like tell you the truth or whatever. And so they try to use that on her to make her tell them like what's going on, and the nightmare or the shepherd king is like immune to it, and so that's why he's able to basically like kind of push out and make it so she doesn't have to say all of the truth and nothing but the truth. But so I mean it makes sense that they would trust her because in their mind they're assuming that she has to answer. So like why wouldn't
I didn't even realize that when we were talking about it earlier because they really did think that like she was telling the truth even though she was totally lying through her teeth, and it was so funny.
Well, and even Raven says that, right? Because you're a terrible liar. You're going to fit right in.
I love it so much. Yeah. More about these cards though. I thought they were so interesting. So earlier on in the book, they talked about like how many cards they were. And so there were 78 Providence cards in descending order. There were 12 black horses held exclusively by the king's elite guard, the destriers. We like could not figure out that word earlier. It was really funny. The 11 golden eggs, 10 prophets, 9 white eagles.
Thank you.
7 chalices, 6 wells, 5 iron gates.
5 iron gates.
4 sides, 3 mirrors, 2 nightmares, and 100 elders. We were laughing so hard today at book club because everybody's saying it like
it sounded like the 12 days of Christmas. It definitely sounded like the 12 days of Christmas, and that was I think all of us independently read it that way in our head.
Oh, that was so funny. And like on that note, how they have like the chapter headings as like the little cards, and then they're all kind of in like poem format.
Yes.
And so I kept reading like in poem format in my head, and then I would get halfway down the page and I'm like, oh no, like read it normally.
Oh, I really liked it. That was one thing we talked about too. I think all of us really enjoyed the rhythm of it because there was both in the poems and in some of the, it's not exactly like riddles that the nightmare says within Elzwa's head. He has a really like a certain rhythm to his voice most of the time too, besides some of the times when he's just kind of poking fun at her.
I know.
But
he's like telling her information but not directly. It's like through a riddle, and it's always like he'll repeat. So he'll say like the first line, and then he'll say whatever he needs to say, and then he'll repeat that first line at the very end. It was just like very poetic.
I was a big fan, which is surprising because I'm not usually a big poem girl.
Yeah, me neither.
But I really enjoyed it. And like from the very beginning, I really enjoyed it in this book. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Me too. And so more about those cards, because later on they go to talk about like what the cards actually do. And I had to flip back to this page like so many times throughout the book to be like, what are they trying to do? So the black horse made its beholder a master of combat. So all the destriers have those ones. The golden egg granted great wealth. The prophet offered glimpses of the future. The white eagle bestowed courage. The maiden bequeathed great beauty. The chalice turned liquid into truth serum, which is what they were basically drugged with. The well gave clear sight to recognize one's enemies. The iron gate offered blissful serenity no matter the struggle. The scythe gave its beholder the power to control others. The mirror granted invisibility. I loved that one. And the twin alders had the power to commune with the blunder's ancient entity, the spirit of the wood. The nightmare allowed its user to speak into the minds of others. I loved that there were like enough where I'd have to go back and be like, well, what's happening now? Because they clearly knew the cards so well.
Well, it's like in their children's stories that they hear from growing up. But the one that you're forgetting, and this is what I had pulled out. Well, just interesting. So I don't remember. So this was on page 130 when I think when Elspeth is like first talking with all of the Yu family, and she's like listening in through the door because they're talking without her, you know, trying to decide her fate. And I think it's the mom says, the prophet showed me a hooded figure with a shadow. The shadow remained even when the light faded. The figure walked to the woods, and behind it trailed the Providence cards, one by one, followed by a 13th I have never seen before.
Oh my gosh, I didn't remember that.
Behind the figure, I saw my Emery alive and well. That's what I saw. That's why I made you watch The Forest Road. So.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I kind of forgot there was that she said that. So it kind of makes me wonder what the 13th card is.
Well, and if the Shepherd King he's the one that made the cards.
Right.
And he hid them. Yes. And so they don't even know about the 13th?
Well, but that's why I'm like, I don't really know. So is it going to be like the Twin Elders where there's only one of them? Or maybe the 13th card she's seeing wasn't really a card, like maybe something else. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the hooded figure with the shadow, I think that must be Elsbeth with Nightmare as the shadow. Because there's another part where she says like that I don't know, I swear somewhere they said like the figure moves but the shadow remains. Which makes me, the shadow remained even with the light faded or something.
Oh my gosh,
so
that does sound like
I think
Elspeth.
that must be the Nightmare. Mm-hmm. But it's mostly the figure walked to the wood. So that's what I think. I think eventually the Nightmare is going to go to the wood to try and connect with the spirit of the wood. Behind it trailed the Providence cards one by one, followed by a 13th.
Oh my gosh.
So I wonder what the 13th will be. Or if the 13th is like
a person?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, I don't know if the 13th is going to be a person or like the Shepherd King was the one who like made them all with the spirit before, right? And so I wonder if maybe he'll like give up his life in exchange for the final card to put the deck together or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Well, and then we had some interesting theories on the Nightmare and the Spirit of the Wood. Mm-hmm. Well, Nightmare as in like the Shepherd King. Mm-hmm. What would we like? One of our predictions was they like had something to do with each other long before, and like maybe they're gonna be the key to like saving the whole thing, like them getting together or something.
Yeah, well, and I had suggested too, because another thing that I thought might happen is, so the Nightmare entered Elsbeth because he is the spirit, the soul of the Shepherd King. Yes. Because the Shepherd King.
So she like basically like devoured his soul, kind of. Not devoured, but like I don't know. He took in his soul. Right,
when she touched the Nightmare card. Mm-hmm. So that's what he had given up to create the Nightmare card. So I am predicting that the Nightmare is going to continue to touch the other cards and pull back more pieces of himself, like of what the original Shepherd King was.
Yeah.
Because there's been so much talk about like, oh, I can't touch any other cards. Like, I can't touch any other cards.
Yeah, that Elspeth, like, her degeneration was that she, like, couldn't touch a card without taking it in.
Her degeneration is that the Nightmare is slowly taking over her.
Oh, it was just her magic then?
Yeah, like her magic was that she took in what was on the card, I guess.
But we didn't actually see it right. And so that's actually a really, really great prediction. Because we were talking about it earlier, but I don't think we actually came to that conclusion. But I love that like the Nightmare is going to go around and like touch the cards and like take back what's his kind of thing.
That's what I think. And I think through that he's going to end up being able to like collect all the cards and I don't know, basically like close things off with the Spirit of the Wood. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so interesting at like the end of the book when he was like, oh yeah, King, I'll come help you. I was like, I'm sorry, like you're just offering your help to the people that you like don't want to help.
Well, no, so he's clearly got an alternate agenda, right? Definitely. That we don't know. But before we get there, you were also talking about just the Spirit of the Wood in general.
Yes.
And so I thought that was one of the things that I'm curious to learn more about in the next book, because really the only thing that we know besides that the Spirit of the Wood helped with making the cards and that they're somehow connected to the mist and like the craziness that goes from that. But Elspeth's aunt also says that before the Providence cards, the Spirit of the Wood was our divinity. The folk of Blunder sought her out, combing the woods for the smell of salt. They asked her for blessings and gifts. They honored her woods and took the names of trees as their own. This was old magic, old religion. And so... Oh, yeah. So I think people kind of forget that the Spirit of the Wood wasn't bad originally. Yeah. Like, now everybody fears the mist and fears her, which they always say her.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
And then they always say that the Nightmare is a he. Mm-hmm. The Shepherd King is a he. And so that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody at book club today was saying that they think that maybe the shepherd king and the spirit of the wood had like something going on, and now the spirit of the wood is like a woman scorned, and that's part of why this took such a turn for the worst.
Yeah. Well, then we also had somebody talk about how magic is like neither good or bad. It's like all in the beholder. Mm-hmm. And so whoever's wielding it can either do good with it or they can like be evil with it. And so I loved the theory that like maybe she's a woman scorned. Mm-hmm. And like I hope we learn a lot more about her, because there's so much theory going around like within the people of the town of Blunder. Mm-hmm. Like everybody is so terrified of these mists and bad things happen in the mists. But it's like, why? Like, we don't actually know, like, why this is all happening. It just started happening.
Well, and of, like, getting the fever and getting sick, because it seems like a mixed bag, right? So the king, the now king, you know, the usurper, he takes any kids that get the fever and offs them.
Yep.
Yeah, I realized I should be careful about
lives.
Unalives them. Yeah, TikTok blocked us. Yeah, for using the M word, but yeah, but he so he takes any of the kids that get the magic and do that, but I'm like not totally sold that getting sick and is a curse. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not totally sold that that's supposed to be a bad thing, and I like wondering if maybe that's the spirit of the woods way of trying to like get other people with magic that can be more powerful and take over the usurper king who is so bad. Yeah. So I'm like kind of curious about that. It again kind of plays into that magic is neither good or bad, kind of depends on how you use it. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that's why like it's supposed to be bestowing a gift of this magic, because then those kids are also immune to the mist. Yeah. And they don't need to carry the token with them.
Right. And I thought that was very interesting when we were discussing it earlier, that like the kids who get the magic are now completely fine in the mist. And so it's like, do we think that like she's maybe giving them this magic to like help? Yeah. Or like there's got to be some deeper meaning behind it.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. And then the king knows this, because something else we were kind of talking about is that if the kids that have the magic, if they have any threat to the king, he would, you know, off them. But like if they were useful, he was able to keep them around.
Try and control them.
Right. And we were learning that there are so many more infected people around that we ever thought that there were. Like we have Raven, which was very interesting.
Emery.
Elspeth, of course. Who else?
Wasn't one of like the physicians or something? Or there's like somebody else that's like close to the king.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And like Emery is just being like held up with the king. Like that's really interesting. We talked about him a lot today at book club too, about how he's got like these like seeing abilities kind of.
Yeah, he can clearly see things that other people can't. But everybody writes him off as just crazy talk, and no one really listens to the words he's saying, even though he speaks the truth, and the truth that other people don't see. Oh, yeah. And Elspeth, we were saying Elspeth is the only one that seems really aware of that, because she has this secret that other people don't know, and Emery can see it. Emery sees that in her immediately. Yep. And so
it was like after the party, or during the party, when they were like all outside, and he starts like, I see the monster behind you.
He says, I see yellow eyes.
I see yellow eyes, yeah. And she's like, what? No. And she starts to realize that he can see other things. And so I want to know what else it is that he's seeing. Yes. Because he stays quiet a lot, but like he gets like really sick, which is sad.
But so I'd say that's one of my projections for the next book, is I think that one of his, I don't want to call them visions because that's not really right, but like one of the things that he can see beyond other people is going to be important for them in the next book, I think.
I think so too. I could absolutely see that.
Do you think he's going to be saved in the next book, or do you think he's going to be sacrificed or die?
Oh, you know, I'm so torn on that, because part of me thinks that he's going to be either sacrificed or just gets so sick that he dies. Like, it's good. I feel like it might be like an unfortunate timing of events where like he gets so sick that he like can't do anything anymore, and so he's not really like useful, but they can't but they're not gonna like sacrifice him. I would love for him to get cured and just like be all better, but like I don't know if I actually see that happening.
I know. I don't think he's gonna make it either.
Yeah.
I don't think.
And I think it'll be really sad.
Yeah. What do you think about Ione? I don't really know.
I know Ione.
So Elspeth's cousin.
Ooh, that was really interesting because she's got the mating card, and so now she's like, what? I don't remember how Elspeth described her. Something like she's got a kind soul and she's super sweet and caring. But now she's got this mating card that's like clearly on all of the time.
Right. So she turns pretty but acts mean. Right.
Yes.
It's like
she like loses her heart.
Yeah, like destroying her internal soul to like look pretty on the outside. But do you think that she's gonna like keep going down and getting in a like worse personality track?
I think so. But from some of the ways that we've seen already, she like does little things to protect Elspeth, and like she'll like do little like say like little lies for her, and she'll like do things that are like out of the character of her currently and more like her character in the past.
Right.
And so I find that really interesting, but kind of like we said earlier in book club, like I think it was you that brought up the really good point that like, what if she's not the one in control of the mating card?
Yeah, so because Elspeth noticed that she doesn't have the mating card on her, and so I think that Hoth is holding the mating card, and that's like part of an abuse towards Ione is that he's preventing her from ever turning it off, because I think that he has control of it. And I think that that's why she's kind of so bitter towards him all the time, because she's clearly not on his side, even though like she's not excited about this engagement. No. She's not happy about the pairing. And you notice that, like, after he breaks his hand and she kind of rolls her eyes and is like, he'll live.
Yeah, he's fine. I don't really care.
And I don't know, there's like a couple other times when he's sort of getting made fun of, and she definitely is also laughing at him, if not quietly, but she's not backing him up at all. Yeah, she's definitely not on his team. And so I think there's some scheming happening back there too. I'm not sure what I think the scheming is, but I do think that Hoth is somehow preventing her from using the mating card how she would want to.
Yeah, that's so interesting, and I really hope we find out more about that later on, because it'll make so much more sense.
I just thought about something actually.
Oh, what's that?
So part of how Ione gets the mating card is because her dad, the uncle, gives a nightmare card to the king, right?
Yeah.
But the nightmare card lets you look inside people's minds, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't Ione know that Elspeth has magic and is sick? Or had gotten sick?
She knows that she got sick. I don't think Elspeth told anybody about her magic.
Okay.
Because I think at some point she even says like in the very, very beginning, I think she's
talking to Raven.
I never told anybody for 11 years. So I don't even think Ione knew, but I feel like
she knew she got sick.
Yes, and I feel like she suspects something because I think she tries to get it out of her a couple of times, because she's like, yeah, like you had the fever, which means like you should have magic, but like, what is it?
Right.
But you never had powers. Or did you?
I was just thinking about that, because I'm like, I wonder what information the king has been able to get from Ione's head now that he has a nightmare card and can look inside her mind. Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, if there's anything critical. It also makes me wonder if that's going to come into play in this next book now, if maybe, like, somehow they try and rope Ione in a little bit to, like, get some help, but then she, like, unknowingly or, like, unintentionally gives up critical information about their plans because they have that one. I don't know.
I could totally see it happening. That would be so interesting.
I just think the fact that they gave up a nightmare card is going to come into play.
Oh, yeah. I definitely think so, too. Well, because we kind of realized at some point that, like, the uncle, like, maybe might not be as trustworthy as we thought he was. Like, maybe there's some other stuff going on, like, behind the scenes. And, like, clearly at the end when he, like, is, like, forced to, like, show where she is and to, like, bring her to that location where she ends up, like, basically dying. Like, there's clearly something else happening there.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of what else.
That was so sad.
Did you guess that Raven was infected?
No, not at all. And I think it was really interesting that his, like, degeneration is that he's not able to use cards, and it almost seems like he like inactivates the cards. It reminded me a lot about from Shatter Me with Adam, how he like inactivates things. And it made me think a lot about that, because like Elspeth would say when he touched the card, like the card went blank, because she could see like the edges of the card, or like not a beacon, but like they like light up the color of the card that they are. And so she can see them. And when he touches the card, it just like goes away.
Right, because even from page 80, which was super early.
Yeah.
And she goes, Raven took a seat beside me at the table, his face and mask. Blah, 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 blah. His hand went so quickly into his pocket, I didn't see it move. He slapped a white eagle card onto the table. I rubbed my eyes, more tired than I thought, because for a split second, it seemed as though the light coming from the cards in Raven's pocket had flickered out.
So I think it's less that he can't use the cards, but like he inactivates them.
Yeah, well, because they also can't be used against him.
Yes.
He can't use them, and they can't be used against him.
I loved that, though.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
I also love that, like, a lot of the cards, like, when they tried to use them against the nightmare, like, don't work. Yes, I loved that. But then the truth serum like works in the blood, and so like she like had to tell the truth. Yeah, well, I mean, but the nightmare could have helped, right? Like if he wanted to. No, she just didn't pull. No, he said that you like matters of the mind he can do, because he's of the mind. But like since the truth serum was of like, the blood, he couldn't help her. Yeah, it was like physically drank wine, and it was in her body. I know, and so that was so sad. And that's when Raven comes in and like uses his nightmare to like get into her head, and he's like, "Let me help you with what to do." Oh yeah, what did you think about that after they had such a serious conversation about like, don't you dare ever use that on me ever again? So I had kind of mixed emotions, because like she was very upfront, like from the beginning, that like, do not use that card on me, because obviously she's trying to protect everybody from the King Shepherd King, whatever. But I was also like, but he was trying to help you. Like he was literally trying to give you information to like help. And so I was a little torn on it. I honestly, I'm surprised that I felt this way, but I thought it was nice that he was trying to help. Like I get that she felt like it was an invasion of privacy and stuff, but she was clearly struggling, and it was about to ruin everything for all of them. Oh, yeah, exactly. And I could kind of see him, like, he wasn't trying to just, like, go in to figure out some information or something, right? Like, he was just trying to go in to help her. Yeah. But I mean, I can see why she freaked out, but I actually didn't really hate it. I don't know. No, I definitely didn't hate it either. Like, I definitely saw both sides. Like, yeah, she asked him not to, but, like, at the same time, like, he was really just trying to help. Yeah. And that's when he finds out that, like, she's got somebody else in her head. Yeah. And so he comes out and freaks out, and he was like, what is that? He's like, I heard another voice. Who is that? I love when he goes back in then, because I was like, well, I don't know how I'm going to explain this, so you just got to see. I know. And then it made Nightmare's like, sup. I know. It reminded me of like, you know, like the monster will come out of the dark and be like, boo. Or like Megan today described it as, what was not Venom. Oh, I have not seen that movie, so I don't know. I haven't seen the movie either, but I like know what she's talking about, because he needs a host, and so he like goes into somebody else's head, and they're like bickering back and forth, like, let's go get pizza, let's go do this. Oh yeah, we were laughing at that too. That like, can you imagine being around Elspeth when she's having this conversation with the nightmare in her mind, and she's just like, you ask her a question, and she's just like blank face looking at you for like 10 seconds like, while she has a conversation in her mind. Because at one point Raven even goes like, I asked you a question. Yeah. Oh gosh, that was so funny. That was so fun. We were laughing so hard. All of us were like blank staring. That was so funny. I know that was kind of internal mind speak, but I don't know why, I just really love that as a trope. Like, yeah, mind speak too. In general. I thought this was so interesting, because like the majority of it was like in her head, like it was a lot in her head. Normally I'm not like the biggest fan of it, but here I thought it was done so well, and I loved it. I thought it was so interesting. Yeah, same. Okay, so what about more of the Shepherd King's backstory? So the only things we really know about him, we know he's 500 years old. Yep. We know that at some point in time he wanted to be able to share magic with the people of his town, Providence, whatever. Right. And so we also know that he like saved kids. Yeah, I was gonna get there. Yeah. Oh, well, so he has also done the thing, because I think that before that he
goes to the Spirit of the Woods to try and make the Providence cards to give magic to the people more readily. Mm-hmm. And then sometime after that, we see a vision through Elsbeth's mind of him like running and trying to save kids, and the Rowan King like seemingly burning them to the ground, right? And so we're assuming this plays into some of the feud because the Nightmare / Shepherd King hates the Rowans, like just hates. With a fiery passion hates them. And he
even seems to like dislike Elm, not like
just because he's a Rowan. Yeah. And so I feel like and he calls him the usurper. He's the one who says that too. And so I'm like so curious to see in the next book what the original Rowan King did to him. Oh, yeah. Because I'm assuming he must be either the cause of his death or the cause of the Twin Alder card being lost and not being able to return the deck to the Spirit of the Woods. Mm-hmm. Is like one of the two. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts of what you...
Yeah, well, because I think I remember at some point in the book they talk about how the Yu family like descended from the Shepherd King, or there was some like connection between them or something. Yes. And so that would be very interesting for like the Yu family, like right now, like trying to find all these cards so that they can unite the deck. It would be very interesting to see, especially because didn't they say that like where they end up finding like the stones was like their old place of dwelling?
Yeah, so it's the same place that we have the first magical kiss also between Raven and Elspeth, but it's on the Yu family property. And it's where there was an old castle that had been burned down, and there's only one room remaining and one dark window, which is the only way in and out of that room. Yes. And so that's where the Shepherd King was buried, right? Like that's his tomb there or whatever. Yeah. And that's where Raven can cut his hand and use his blood to basically be able to like... We had a lot of conversation about the slicing of hands. We'll get to that too. But that's where he can use his blood to... basically like enter into like I think like a hidden pocket in there, right? Like he can like reach through the stone, and so he's been hiding the Providence cards that he's been collecting there.
It kind of makes me think of like Vampire Diaries when you have to like use your blood to like move like the stone like where Catherine and them are hiding, but they like use spells.
Oh, when they're like hiding underground in the place where the witches kept them.
Yep. And so, like, Bonnie had to, like, use her blood to, like, open up the gates. That's kind of what it made me think of, but, like a stone, like, a well. That's what I thought it was, like, a well.
See, I don't know, for some reason, this was, like, so dorky to try and explain this outside, because it's not going to look right outside my brain, but I saw it more as, like, the stone was still there. But think of it as, like, somehow becoming a little bit transparent, like, a little bit more like you just move directly through it. Like, it's still existing there, but you have access to reach through it. So it's not that the stone like moves to the side. That's what I pictured.
Well, because I mean, I think they do say they just like reached into it. So like that's a great way to think about it.
But anyway, so that's where the Providence cards are stored. Do you think that that's where the Twin Altars is, or do you think it's somewhere else?
No, I think it's somewhere else, and I kind of think that maybe like the Nightmare, the King Shepherd, is like trying to unite with the king because maybe the king knows where it is, or like his family lineage did something with it, and so he's gonna try to find out like information about it.
Oh, like you think maybe that's what the Rowan King did to the Shepherd King, is that he stole the Twin Alders and made it so that you couldn't put the deck back together?
Yeah, because I don't think they can be destroyed, right?
Right, they can't be destroyed.
Yeah, so it's just like hidden somewhere, because I feel like if the Nightmare actually knew where it was, he would automatically like work with the U's. Yes. To try to just like unite the deck, and like there we go. So like clearly ulterior motives there. I cannot speak.
Hard word.
Hard word. Oh my gosh. I'm running off like 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to know more about the Shepherd King. I think all of us said that. We're like, we don't really know that much about him. Mm-hmm. Did you? Okay, I know everybody at book club said it was so obvious. Did you think it was that obvious that the Shepherd King was the Nightmare?
No.
I didn't think so until she had the dream.
I was just smiling and nodding. I was like, huh?
It wasn't until she has the dream where she sees the Shepherd King sitting on that rock, or like on the through the one dark window room. Yeah. That was That was the first time I realized it.
Yeah.
They thought it was so obvious. I was like, I didn't get that.
No, I didn't get that either. And
made me feel a little dumb.
Right, because she started to see like the gold matches like these like glimpses of what she's been seeing like around the U castle and everything. But I loved it when after, oh my gosh, which makes you the Shepherd King. His voice called louder than it had ever been, as if he was closer, stronger. Finally, my darling Elspeth, we understand one another.
Yeah.
That gave me chills.
Oh, see, I also got chills when Elspeth is talking to Emery because she's like kind of trying to figure out what's going on, right? And he goes, he hunches, not animal, not man, but something in between. He stands in a room he built for the spirit of the wood, perched upon a tall, dark stone. He whispers something. What does he say? There once was a girl, clever and good, who tarried in the shadow in the depths of the wood. There was also a king, a shepherd by his crook, who reigned over magic and wrote the old book. The two were together, so the two were the same. The girl, the king, and the monster they became. I like that. I think that was the first time when we kind of get the full thing. Like,
chills.
I know. I'm seriously like goosebumps from that because we heard the girl, the king, and then monster they became. I think like we kind of hear that a few times, which I guess should have made obvious, but whatever.
I didn't get it until the dream either.
But that when we get that full bit together there, I got such chills reading that. Too, But that's exactly what we're talking about, where there's just like this little bit of a rhythm. To
which I love it.
So good.
I love it because it's so fun. Oh my gosh.
I'm obsessed with this book.
I am too. I just like loved it so much, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I can't stop thinking about like the little quotes and like the magic cards and like what everything means, because something that I also just thought about when we were talking about the Shepherd King and like trying to get his magic back. What if when he wrote the book, right? What if he also made the card and gave each card was like a piece of himself that he gave away, and so when he knights the deck, he becomes a real person again. Like
he comes back to himself. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say when I said I think the Nightmare's going to collect the cards and pull back pieces of himself. Yeah. That's exactly what I think is going to happen too.
So do you think then, like, say that happens and say they unite the deck and he becomes like his own again? What happens to Elspeth?
I don't know. I feel like the Shepherd King is going to in some way kind of end up sacrificing himself for the greater good kind of thing. Like I think in taking back the cards, there's going to be some amount of like he'll sort of leave Elspeth, and that'll kind of be a payment to the spirit of the woods to be like, hey, like let's just be done with this. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, because at the very end of the book, it kind of seems like she's just like gone,
sleeping.
Like
I think of
within
it as,
the mind.
Yeah. Well, in the very beginning of the book, the nightmare is like pretty quiet in the back of her mind, so I think it's just flip-flopped right now.
Okay. So she's like, you think she'll come back?
Yeah. I think she's going to be watching. I think it's going to be a couple chapters, and then she's going to be watching through her own eyes, but like as she's being controlled by the nightmare.
Yeah.
But I really want to know what he's scheming.
Oh yeah, me too.
Of like why he was like, oh yeah, take me, I'll come help you.
Yeah, to the king.
Yeah, so I'm like, I
did not expect that at all.
Some scheming going on. I don't know.
So much scheming. Well, and then especially because like the poor Yu family, like they've been working so dang hard, and now like all of the plans are just kind of like in like a halt. And I'm like, at some point the nightmare like has to come back and like help them or something. But I don't know.
I'm so curious.
I'm so curious too. One of the other things that we kind of talked about at book club a little bit was our fan casting.
Yes.
And I thought this was so interesting because we don't normally do this on the podcast, but it's actually a really fun bit that I think we could just like start to add in. So there were 3 people that we talked about for Raven. There was Luis, Partridge, which I guess, what did Megan say? He was like, played a kid on some show.
Stranger Things?
No, that wasn't Stranger Things. That was, I don't know, some kid in the show. Luis Partridge. I don't know who that is. But then we also have Ian Somerhalder, young Ian Somerhalder.
Yeah, younger Damon.
Younger Damon, which I didn't realize it until I saw when they pulled him up. I was like, oh wait, that actually fits pretty well.
And I said
Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, which is the guy from Dune.
Yes.
And so I don't know why, I just kind of pictured Raven as like a little boyish, like almost a little feminine in his features, but like a total badass.
Oh yeah, and like charming.
And like charming.
Timothée Chalamet is very charming.
Yeah, because he's the captain of the Destriers, so he's got to be charming and badass.
Oh yeah.
So that was what I pictured.
I liked it because when you said it, that's who I was thinking, and I was like, oh my gosh, cheers. We're gonna need a refill here soon.
Yeah.
So that was like who I was initially thinking. I also like Ian Somerhalder for it. I liked that too.
Yeah, much younger though.
Yeah, absolutely. For Elspeth, I think it was kind of a unanimous Jenna Ortega.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like everyone casts Jenna Ortega as like so many people these days.
Oh
now.
yeah. She's got such a wide range.
She has a like very unique look that I think fits for a lot of fantasy, that has like long dark hair and maybe like, I don't know, she like gives off really good vibes for like the creepy or like spooky kind of background.
Well, and I think especially for her, like her role in Wednesday when she was like all black, I think like they describe Elspeth's eyes as like
so dark, they're almost black. Yeah.
Yes. And then when the nightmare comes, they're like a contrasting bright yellow.
Which the yellow, I totally was picturing like, again, Vampire Diaries and Spirit on that. The werewolves, how they wear eyes flash like yellow. That's what I pictured was that.
I was picturing kind of like snake eyes.
Oh yeah. I think they did say like a different pupil, didn't they?
Yes. Oh, was it like a slitted pupil or something?
Yeah, like a cat like slit pupil.
Yeah. I think they did say something like that. But so that's what I always got, like snake eyes or like cat eyes too. I think that would be like a good one. Do we want to reach out? Okay. And then for Elm, we have Hero Fiannis Tiffin, who he was from. Have you ever seen the movie After? It's on Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen it and just like don't remember it. But he's very attractive. He was the main guy character, but he's like kind of a little bit of an asshole. Like he's kind of like a badass, like the bad boy that you like don't want to fall for, but she ends up falling for.
We love those.
Oh yeah, he was good. I feel like he'd be a good one. And lastly, for Hoth, we have Dacre Montgomery. Oh, from Stranger Things.
Oh yes,
the cougar hunter.
Yes.
Oh man, I don't remember which one said it in book club today, but oh my gosh, as soon as I said it, I was like,
Also, we were laughing today. We all got a really good laugh talking about the small man syndrome. Because at some point they describe, I think Hoth's only supposed to be like an inch shorter than Raven, right? But like Raven is everything that Hoth wants to be, right? Like just a little bit better than him and just a little bit taller. And so the moment when Elspeth is talking to Hoth and he's like, well, what do you even see in Raven, right? Like, why would you even want him to court you? And she's like, well, he's really tall.
And I loved it because like she knew that like that's exactly what she had to say to like get under his skin.
Oh, it was so funny.
Oh, so funny.
I loved the fake dating in One Dark Window though. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was so cute. Just all of it. All the like pretending.
Yes.
Pretending.
And then it wasn't actually pretending.
Oh, so sweet.
One other thing that we kind of compared to another series, if you read Fourth Wing, we thought that the nightmare was a lot like one of the dragons.
Yes. the kind of old man sassy banter inside her head. If you've read that book, you know exactly what we're talking about. It was just so funny.
It was so funny. And one of the parts that I like especially thought was hilarious was when Emery is like throwing up on the ground and the nightmare goes, shame, I was just beginning to like him.
Yeah, the nightmare does like Emery.
Yes, and I loved that like things would happen. Like, what did they say when she didn't want to put the pants on?
He goes, they're just leggings, Elspeth.
We got a really good laugh out of that today too. That was really funny.
Yeah.
Just like the great banter inside of the head, just hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I loved this book so much.
Me too.
You haven't bought the second one though, have you?
I haven't. I've been on a self-imposed book buying ban for a little bit here. I don't know.
You can probably see in the back some of the tabbed books.
Like I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, I finally went through and added just some little bright orange tabs on all the books that I physically have on my shelf that I haven't read yet. And it was a little embarrassing how many there are. So I've been trying to not buy new books. I'm trying to read the ones that I have. So I'm like working my way through the Way of Kings.
Yeah.
I read this one. I feel like I'm allowed to buy sequels though, because I think sequels don't count on book buying bans.
Right.
Pre-orders also don't count on book buying bans.
Because they'll come later. Girl math.
Yeah, so I probably will get it. But I guess I bet this week will probably be Iron Flame and Two Twisted Crowns. Those are probably my books for this week.
I'm excited. I have the physical copy and I almost started it this week, and then I was like, no, wait until book club.
Yeah, it's so much harder to do book club if you have already read the next one to not ruin things then. So,
but the girls who have read it did a wonderful job. Thank you, ladies.
Very impressed that they could keep that much inside.
Because if it was me, I'd be like,
we spent like an hour and a half talking about theories, so I'm super impressed that they did not let anything slip.
I know. Also, the ladies that were there today are just like
so awesome.
Literally, I'm like so happy. My heart is so full. New besties. I know for real though. Like literally want to hang out. Like love it so much.
Yeah.
We got so lucky.
It was a good time for sure. And you're welcome to join next month too. Like I said, listen to our episode on what's upcoming in the podcast. There will be information coming out for our next 2 book clubs and a potential holiday book exchange coming up soon. So just DM us if you ever want to be included in those local Denver events.
Oh yes. I love it so much. And on another note, what else are you reading right now?
Oh gosh, not that much actually. I had to travel for work recently, so I'm a little behind. I've been trying to I'm still trying to find those short reads to help me on my Goodreads rule.
Thank you to everybody that commented on our TikTok. We seriously got so many awesome recommendations that like I wouldn't have ever known about.
Yeah, so that's gonna be great to add in here. But I finished part 1 of The Way of Kings, and I'm most of my way through part 2.
Ooh.
Because the copy that I have broken into 2 parts is all one book, but one very large book. I think that's new since last time. I think we already talked about The Night Runs Red, didn't we?
Yep, we did. We did. We just read ACOTAR.
Yeah, so I think Laurels and Liquor, which was the 3rd book in a trilogy of like a poly omegaverse smut.
Yeah.
I think I gave it 3 stars. And then I read a short story, Slow Time Between the Stars by John Scalzi.
Oh, yes.
And that was really good too.
That's good.
It's kind of about like an AI that gets sent into deep space to try and help like reseed humanity somewhere else. But then as the AI, develops its own consciousness and stuff, it maybe changes its own mission. It's just very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that is really interesting.
What about you?
I like it. So I am currently probably 40% of the way through Akamath, A Court of Mist and Fury, and I am, again, more like ACOTAR. I'm loving it more the second time around, which to me is just like so wild. I'm also reading The Starling House. Have you heard of that one? Mm-hmm. It's another like spooky vibes. Like she cleans a haunted house, and I'm having a really hard time getting into it.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know. I'm probably like 50 pages in, and like now it's finally starting to get a little interesting, but like everybody raves about this book, and it's apparently supposed to be like this wonderful, great spooky book, but I'm like, gosh, yeah, I'm having a really hard time getting into it. Yeah. So I'm really only reading those 2. I felt like I downloaded one on my Kindle. Oh, The Soul of a Witch. Yes. Mm-hmm. I did download that one, and I like started reading it, but then I was at work and got really busy, and so I like haven't really been on my phone as much. But so I'm not reading a whole lot else.
Yeah, I did not get very far in my October planned reads.
I didn't either.
I just wasn't a good reading month for me. I feel like both of us had a lot going on with work and other stuff going on. So
I know we were so busy. But I felt like the books that I did read were amazing. Like One Dark Window, I kicking screaming the whole time. I loved it so much. One of my favorite reads of the entire year.
Yeah, I feel like this will definitely be in my top 10 reads, maybe my top 5 of the year. Oh
yeah, it was so good. And yeah, so I've had like really good reads in October, but like not a lot of reads. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I wonder what November's going to look like because it's already the 5th.
Jesus.
I know. And I'm like, I haven't even had time to like sit down and be like, what am I planning on reading?
I know. I still haven't done an October wrap up. I kind of need to do that.
Oh my gosh. Me too.
Oops.
Me too. Whoops. I know it's November 5th. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's technically within the first 7 days of November.
Yeah.
So it's within the first week.
Sure.
And yeah, what are you planning on reading? Do you know what you want to read in November?
Well, I'll read Akmath too, and Act of War probably. Those will probably both be in November. Yeah, I'm not sure. Some of those from October will maybe carry over. Some of them might not. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be surprised if I go right from The Way of Kings into The Words of Radiance.
Oh, I love it.
Just because it is the type of book that I think does well to do it right away. Because there's enough going on.
Yep.
I downloaded, was it like The Emperor's Bone Palace, I think is what it's called.
Interesting.
So if you remember that like steampunk adult fantasy book that I read, which I'm not blanking on the Princess Poison Vow.
Yes.
So this is the second one. It's The Emperor's Bone Palace. So I have that one downloaded, and I kind of think I might read that. I also am planning on reading All Systems Red, which is a sci-fi novella.
Oh, nice.
Which is supposed to be really good. Yep. Yeah, it's like I think maybe 180 pages. It's like a nice short book.
I love it.
So yeah, those are the only ones I for sure have on my list. I think other than that, I tend to read whatever strikes me at the moment. So
I do too.
It'll probably be more one of those kind of months.
Yep, I kind of think so too. Some of the ones that are like on my radar is Two Twisted Crowns. So like the second one One Dark Window. I've also, what was supposed to be on my list for October was Of Gods and Monsters and Blood and Honey from the Serpent and Dove series. And I also have The Well of Ascension and The Hero of Ages for the Mistborn series. And I'm like, I know there's no way. I'm going to be so busy this month that, like, I'm going to be able to get to all of that. But, like, those are the ones that I'm, like, I have sitting out to grab. So we'll see what actually happens.
Yeah, I get that. I haven't. So that's another one of those. I have to decide for Words of Radiance because I didn't buy it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to decide if I'm breaking that ban to get the next one, or if I should read books I have. But like, I just do think I liked the last time when I read Mistborn. I liked being able to read all three in a row. Yeah. Because I think that I remembered more of the story. So it's a good chance to. Also, I might read The Fragile Threads of Power while Shades of Magic is still fresh in my mind. Yeah. Because I just finished the Shades of Magic trilogy recently, and so I might go into Threads of Power like right away too.
That's really exciting. And another really exciting one we're reading.
Iron Flame. Yeah, I'm pumped for that.
I'm so excited.
I have Veterans Day off work, so I'm going to be reading all day.
Yay! I love it.
Yep.
I should be getting it on Wednesday, and so at some point this week we are having a reading day.
Yep. For sure.
I love it. I'm so excited for that one to come out. Again, book club, we had so many like fun theories and everything. Yeah. So, yes, very, very excited for that one. Well, Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we hope that you guys read One Dark Window and you love it just as much as we did. We had so much to talk about at book club today. We were literally sitting there for like 2 hours just hanging out and talking and chatting and meeting a ton of new book friends, like so many new faces. Yeah. Yay.
So read it. Read One Dark Window.
Yes. And then give us a follow to keep up with everything that we're doing. We've got some really exciting things coming up. We've got the ACOTAR reread. We've got Crescent City before Iron Flame. I'm sorry, not Iron Flame. Before House of Flame and Shadow. Yes. Before that comes out. And so stick around. We're going to be doing some really fun things.
Yeah. So make sure to subscribe or follow so you get notifications when things are happening. Yay. And DM us to get added to the private chat.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye.